Chapter 2. The Family of Shiva. On the night of Shivratri, Varanasi looked like a city made of smoke, oil, and memory. The river moved in darkness, lamps trembled upon it, men cried Har Har Mahadev, women carried flowers, children stared at sadhus covered in ash. Somewhere a conch blew, and the sound seemed older than language. Aswathama chose a quieter ghat. He sat where the crowd thinned and the river widened. Before closing his eyes, he looked at a calendar image pasted on a tea stall wall. It showed Shiva with his family. Parvati sat beside him, luminous and calm. Ganesha, elephant headed and generous, rested near his mouse. Kartikeya stood with his peacock, a snake coiled around Shiva's neck. Nandi, the bull, waited at his feet. Behind Parvati was the memory of the tiger. Predator and prey, poison and milk, muscle and feather, tooth and devotion, all shared one frame. To a hurried eye, it was devotional art. To Aswathama, it was a political philosophy. Why did the tiger not attack the bull? Why did the peacock not kill the snake? Why did the snake not swallow the mouse? What kind of family was this? Perhaps this was the dream India kept painting because India could not live it. In Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain teachings, hunger was not merely the need for food. Hunger was craving. It was the restless movement of desire. More gold, more land, more followers, more purity, more control. Buddhism called craving a root of suffering. Jainism disciplined appetite until the soul became light. Hindu ascetics sat against desire like mountains against the wind. But Aswathama had lived long enough to know that the world did not run on renunciation. Kings wanted territory, merchants wanted profit, priests wanted obedience, empires wanted memory, even monks wanted monasteries. Was Shiva's family therefore an instruction to leave the world, or was it more difficult than that? Perhaps the image did not say, escape hunger. Perhaps it said, live in a hungry world without becoming hunger. That would be harder than living in a desert or a forest for a modern man. He studied the family again. Ganesha was adored in Western India, in Mumbai's money and festivals, in the dreams of shopkeepers and film stars. Kartikeya was beloved in the south, where Murugan's hills and temples carried a different warmth. Parvati had the mountain and the mother. Shiva had the cremation ground, the linga, the yogi, the dancer, the householder, the destroyer. No culture this large grows from one seed. Aswathama had watched cultures move like rivers. Traders carried spices and gods together. Sailors carried disease and songs. Monks carried texts. Conquerors carried coins. Women carried rituals into new homes. Children mixed gods without asking permission from theologians. So the family of Shiva may have been less a fixed genealogy and more a federation, a treaty between traditions, a visual parliament of animals, clans, tribes, regions, and old cults. Not a copy, not theft, a refinement, a local adoption, a grand Indian art of absorbing difference. Yet another thought came, darker. What if the image also trained humans to accept inequality? Predator and prey live peacefully in a divine picture, but not in human society. A tiger in the forest does not become vegetarian because a calendar says so. A powerful caste does not surrender privilege because a poem praises compassion. Was the image an ideal or a distraction from the impossibility of justice? Aswathama knew conspiracies. In the Mahabharata, deceit did not always come with an evil face. It came with a smile, a flute, a doctrine, and a justification. His father was killed by an elegant lie. That lie was celebrated because the winners needed it celebrated. He thought of Troy, a wooden horse, a gift, a strategy, a massacre. Some cultures admired it. Deceit disguised as cleverness. War washed clean by poetry. Did such stories make modern wars easier? Did they teach children that a noble aim can perfume a dirty method? Did they turn betrayal into intelligence? The river did not answer. Another thought rose: Bhang and Shiva. Why had India placed a plant of dissolution near the only great god shown so often with a full family? Shiva was not merely the naked ascetic, he was also husband and father. Bhang dissolved the ego. Family shaped culture. Natural hunger met social duty. Perhaps the message was not escape but balance. Natural need says eat, sleep, mate, protect. Culture says marry, inherit, obey, compete, accumulate. Shiva's bang might soften the second hunger, it might make the householder remember the cremation ground. At midnight, Aswatthama lit his inner fire and began the mantra. Hours passed. The river turned silver. Then a presence formed in the dark. Shiva appeared not with thunder but with stillness. His eyes were both ash and sky. If you want your prayer answered, Shiva said, perform a full fire ritual for me and for Parvati on the next monthly Shivratri. Aswathama bowed. Shiva's voice sharpened. Do not ignore the goddess. Then he was gone. The calendar image fluttered in the wind. The mouse still sat near the snake. The tiger still spared the bull. The question remained. Long after Shiva vanished, the family image returned to him as a model for the impossible world he kept imagining. The tiger did not become weak by sparing the bull. The snake did not become less snake by refusing the mouse. The peacock did not lose beauty by standing near danger. A world without war did not mean a world without difference. It meant a world where difference was not immediately converted into permission to destroy. If the calendar artist could imagine predator and prey under one roof, why could statesmen not imagine nations without permanent enmity? Why could religious communities not imagine truth without humiliation of the other? Perhaps popular art had preserved a political wisdom that elite philosophy had lost. The calendar picture followed Aswathama even after he closed his eyes. It was not art in the European museum sense. It did not ask to be analyzed from a distance. It lived in shops, homes, trucks, kitchens, school bags, and tea stalls. It watched people bargain, quarrel, marry, cheat, feed children, count money, and light incense. It was theology printed cheaply enough for the poor. That mattered to him. Elite art often flatters power. Calendar art reveals desire. It shows what ordinary people wish the universe would look like when no official scripture is watching. In the Shiva family image, the impossible had become domestic. The bull did not tremble, the mouse did not hide, the snake did not boast, the peacock did not perform its beauty as superiority. The tiger did not need to demonstrate power. Each creature remained itself and yet did not convert its nature into violence. Aswathama thought of this as the highest form of civilization, not the abolition of difference but the refusal to weaponize difference. He compared it with courtly images of kings. Kings were often shown larger than others, enemies were smaller, servants bent, animals were hunted, bodies formed pyramids of power. The message was clear. Order means hierarchy. But Shiva's family offered another order. Disorder to a court, perhaps. A snake near a mouse, a tiger near a bull, a god in ashes beside a mother in beauty, a son with an elephant head, another with a spear and peacock. Yet the image did not collapse. It held. What if this was the Indian answer to the politics of war? Not a treaty, not a constitution, a family portrait. Then he remembered the streets outside the picture, caste humiliation, gender violence, animal cruelty, religious mobs, political speeches that turned neighbors into threats. India painted Shiva's family but did not always live under its roof. That failure did not make the image false, it made it urgent. Aswathama imagined explaining it to a child from another country. This is Shiva, he would say. He is a god of destruction but also of stillness. This is Parvati, the mountain daughter, his power and companion. This is Ganesha, remover of obstacles with a mouse. This is Kartikeya, warrior youth with a peacock. That snake could kill the mouse, that peacock could kill the snake, that tiger could kill the bull. But they are not killing, they are present. The child might ask, why? And Aswathama would answer, because someone once dared to imagine a world where power did not immediately consume weakness. That imagination was not sentimental, it was revolutionary. A world without war would not begin in parliament, it would begin in the nervous system. The tiger must learn that hunger is not command. The snake must learn that capacity is not obligation. The peacock must learn that beauty is not license. The bull must learn that strength is not domination. The mouse must learn that fear need not become cunning cruelty. Bhang entered the picture as a subtle grammar. It did not make the tiger a philosopher. It did not make the snake harmless. But it could, in the human mind, loosen the hard arrogance of separateness. It could make a man remember that his body will become ash like the body of the enemy. It could make a wealthy merchant laugh at his own seriousness. It could make a sadhu see the city as a breathing organism rather than a marketplace of status. Aswathama did not romanticize it. Every substance has shadows, every cup can be misused, but myth is not chemistry alone. Myth is the moral meaning a culture gives to chemistry. Shiva's bhang was not merely intoxication, it was a symbolic protest against the ego that divides the house into predator and prey.